Hey, welcome to Comic Book Crime, the only place where you can get true crime, serial killers, and the unsolved, all in a convenient comic layout. Now let's tear into it. The Boston Strangler, Truth, Lies, and DNA. Boston, 1962. A city paralyzed by fear. 13 women are found dead, strangled in their own homes. Newspapers call him the Mad Strangler of Boston. Later, he'd become infamous as the Boston Strangler. But decades later, questions remain. Was it really one man, or several killers hiding behind a single name? Between June 1962 and January 1964, 13 single women between the ages of 19 and 85 were found murdered in their apartments. Most were sexually assaulted. All were strangled, often with their own stockings. There were no signs of forced entry. Police believed the women had let their killer in, perhaps thinking he was a repairman or someone they knew. As the killings continued, panic spread. Women bought new locks, tear gas, and even moved away. The city was terrified. Media frenzy exploded. The press dubbed him the Phantom Fiend. Then came two female reporters, Jean Cole and Loretta McLaughlin, who gave him the name that would stick forever, the Boston Strangler. On January 4th, 1964, the nightmare reached its peak. 19-year-old Mary Sullivan was found dead in her Boston apartment. She'd been raped and strangled with 3 ligatures. A Happy New Year card was left beside her body. It was the last of the murders attributed to the Strangler, but far from the end of the mystery. Months later, a man named Albert DeSalvo was arrested, not for murder, but for sexual assaults. While in prison, DeSalvo confessed to being the Boston Strangler. He described the crime scenes in detail, details that weren't public. Investigators were stunned, but there was a problem. No physical evidence linked him to the murders. DeSalvo's lawyer, the famous F. Lee Bailey, used the confession to argue insanity in another case, but the confession itself was ruled inadmissible. DeSalvo was convicted for rape and sentenced to life in prison. Then, he escaped. A day later, he turned himself in, claiming he wanted to expose poor prison conditions. He was later transferred to maximum security. In 1973, Albert DeSalvo was found stabbed to death in prison. His killer was never identified. But soon, doubts emerged. Could one man have done it all? Some victims were elderly, some young. Different ethnicities, different methods. It didn't fit the usual pattern of a serial killer. Doctors, police, and even FBI profilers began to question DeSalvo's confession. One expert called him a compulsive confessor, desperate to be recognized. Books, documentaries, and investigators over the years claimed multiple killers may have used the media frenzy as cover. Was DeSalvo a scapegoat? Or had he simply taken credit for crimes he didn't commit? In 2013, almost 50 years after the murders, modern science spoke up. Boston police discovered DNA evidence from Mary Sullivan's crime scene matched Albert DeSalvo's family line. A court ordered DeSalvo's body exhumed. The results were undeniable. It was his DNA. Finally, a link between DeSalvo and at least one of the murders was confirmed. But the other 12? Still uncertain. So was Albert DeSalvo the Boston Strangler, or just one of several? Even today, Boston's most infamous case leaves us with one haunting question. How many hands really held the silk stocking?